Welcome to the first video in the series where we go from Scratch to Python. So how can you use your Scratch knowledge to learn Python? Well, let's have an example. Here's Scratch and we just want to say hello. So we can just get the say hello block, click on it and it says hello. In Python we have print instead of say. So we can say print, instead of the square box we have brackets and we have hello. So we run that program and here's hello. So it's the same in Scratch it is in Python, except we use print instead of say. Let's start off simple with the basics. So we're going to use say, we're going to use operators, and we're also going to look at variables. We know the say block will have this square, white square where we put in what we want to say. In Python we have print and brackets, as we've seen. Operators sounds complicated, it's just plus and minus, multiply and divide. And variables we've done in Scratch before. So for example, you set a variable to a number like 0, and if you want to change it by 1, you can use the change variable by 1 block. So in Python we have print instead of say, and instead of the square block where we put hello, for example, we use brackets. So here we've got print and brackets. Inside the brackets we've got hello. Notice it's got double quotes. We'll explain that as well. Here we've got say 5. In Python we've got print and brackets and the number 5. There's no double quotes there, notice that. The operators. If we just want to add two numbers, simple, just use plus. If we want to use minus, multiply, divide, they're simple operators. And in Scratch also we have variables. Very similar in Python. Set x to 0 in Python is x equals 0. We want to change the variable value. The variable value. So we can change x by 1 in Scratch. In Python we would say x equals x plus 1. So let's start off by using Scratch. So here's a familiar screen. We can use the blocks for our Scratch coding. Let's start off with something simple. So we can say hello for 2 seconds. Now when we run that, we can see hello is printed on the screen. We can change that to 5. Now when we click say 5, 5 is printed. It's really straightforward. Here we've got 5 plus 2. You can see it's printed as 5 plus 2. If we actually want to work out 5 plus 2, we can use operators. So here we've got the operators blocked. We put 5 plus 2 and we put that into the say block and it prints 7. So that's quite an important difference. We can look at the other operators, minus, multiply and divide. So we enter the numbers. So here we can have 5 minus 2. So that works out 5 minus 2, which equals 3, and the answer is printed to the screen. The answer that we see on the screen is in that square block after say. If we put 5 multiplied by 2, it will calculate the answer as 10 and then print that. So there's an order. The operator works first, it calculates the answer, and then the answer, which is put in the certain square block, is then printed to the screen. So this is similar in Python. We can have a look at the IDLE. So what's the IDLE? Well, when you get Python, you'll see this IDLE is downloaded with it. Now it's an integrated development environment, which sounds very complicated. So here's the definition. But actually what it is something that's very simple and it's very easy to use for beginners, and it works on all computers. So it's not what you're going to use in the future, but for the first time is quite straightforward to use. So we're just going to use it for this video. So let's have a look where it is. We can find our Python, we can find the IDLE, we click on that, and then there we have our IDLE. So now we can type in our Python instructions. So here, instead of say, we're going to use print. We've got brackets instead of the square, and then we've got the text that we want to print to the screen in these double quotes. So we've got print, then brackets instead of say and the block, and then inside the brackets we're going to print. Notice here we've got an error. We've got 5 plus 2 with just one of the quotes. Now that comes up with this red error message. So Python will tell you when you've made a mistake in many cases. Again, the same with Scratch. If we put these double quotes and 5 plus 2, it will print to the screen the number 5, the plus symbol, and the 2. Notice now, if we tried to put just 5 plus 2 in the brackets without the double quotes, it gives us the answer 7, the same as Scratch. We can try 5 minus 2. Again, that gives us the answer. It prints the answer to the screen, 3. We can try 5 multiplied by 2. Again, the same as Scratch, and we get the answer 10. And finally, we can try 5 divided by 2. What does that do? Yes, it prints 2.5 to the screen. We've had a look at operators. Let's have a look at variables. So we've got our say, we've got our operators. Now if we go to data, we can make variables. So let's make a variable called x. So we're familiar with this. We click on the make a variable option, and now we have x with the variable blocks such as set x to, and then we can set it to a number. So let's set it to 5. So we used 5 in our operators. So now we can change that to use x. It's going to do the same thing. So let's put our operator with their variable x, so x plus 2, and then once we set x and we run that, it prints the answer 7. So we set the variable to 5, then we've calculated using the operator with the variable x, and then the say block prints the answer. So we can use x minus 2 equals 3. So all of these words make it sound very complicated, but all we're really doing is we're just printing x, or we're printing x plus 2 or minus 2 or multiply 2 in this example. So operators, plus, minus, multiply, divide by, we're using with the variable. We're just setting the variable, and then we're printing that using the operators as well. So what happens if we want to change the variable? So here we've got x equals 5. We've changed it by 1. We divided that, so that's 6 divided by 2 equals 3. Here x plus 2, so 6 plus 2 equals 8. Here we've got 6 minus 2, so the answer is going to be 4. And then 6 multiplied by 2 is going to be 12. So that's quite straightforward. How about in Python? We can make the variable x equal 5 by just typing x equal 5. We print it, we just use the print statement again with the brackets, and inside the brackets, rather than the square in Scratch, we use the variable x, it prints 5. We can use operators, print x plus 2, print 7. We can go through the operators, x minus 2 is 3, x multiplied by 2 will be 10, and obviously we go x divided by 2, that will give us 2.5. There we go. How about changing the variable? So how do we make x different? Well, we can say x equal x plus 1. So now instead of 5, x will equal 6. If you want to see that, we can print x again. How about x plus 2? 8. So we can see there that x was 5, we added 1 to make 6, we added 2 to make 8. Again, x, which is 6, minus 2 equals 4. So 6 multiplied by 2 equals 12. So all of these are identical to what we did in the Scratch. So we have our print, we have our operators inside the brackets, and we can use numbers or we could use a variable. Now it's your turn. So here's a knowledge check. Print the number 5. So print the number 5, the digit 5. Print 5 plus 2, so it's going to print 7. Print 5 and plus and 2. So it's going to print the number 5, the symbol plus, and the number 2. Now make x equal 2 and then print x. Then Python is going to print the number 2. How about printing the letter x? How about printing x that equals 2, but add 2 to that so that it will print 4. And finally, try to print this. We have the x in the double quotes plus 2. What do you think happens then? Why not try it and see what happens? Okay, how did you get on? Let's have a look at entering our Python code. So we started off by printing something quite simple. So we print the number 5. So we just use print with brackets with the number 5 inside. Here we've got 5 plus 2, which is going to print 7. Now if we actually want to print the number 5 with the plus symbol and 2 symbol, we put that in double quotes inside the print brackets. So that prints 5 plus 2. Now we can make x equal 2 by typing in x equals 2, and we can print x and that will print 2. If we want to print the actual character x, the letter x, we put that in double quotes. So we have print with x in double quotes prints the letter x. Print x plus 2 equals 4. So that should be straightforward. And what happens if we put x in double quotes and then we try to add the number 2? You probably guessed it correctly. We get this error message. Can only concatenate string, not integer. We'll cover that in more detail in another video. Okay, how about a little test of your knowledge? Here's a little task for you. Try this task in Scratch first, and then once you know how to do it in Scratch, then try to do it in Python. Okay, $1 is about 0.89 euros. So, for example, if you had $100, that would equal 89 euros. $50, what would that equal? Well, if 100 American dollars equals the European 89 euros, then $50 would be half of that, which is 44.5. Yeah. So let's try that in Scratch first and then in Python. Okay, we know how to use Scratch, so how are we going to do this task? Well, we're going to use variables. So our rate was 0.89. So we're going to create a variable called rate and set that to 0.89. So what else did we have? We had dollars and euros. So we can create a variable called dollars. We can set dollars to 100 was the first number we used. So let's set dollars to 100. We can also make the variable euros. So we can set euros. So what should we set euros as? Well, euros equals dollars multiplied by the rate. So we can have dollars multiplied by rate in the green operator block, and we can set euros to equal that. So when we run our program, we can use the when green flag is clicked. We do our variables using the set rate, set dollars, set euros, and then we're going to say euros and print that to the screen. So we can see when we run that, we can have a look. We've got our rate, we've got our dollars, and our euros is going to equal 89 with $100. The second part, we changed dollars to 50. Can you remember how many euros that was? Let's have a try. So when we run the program, it says 44.5, which is correct. So this is our program using Scratch. So let's try doing that in Python. Okay, so we can start off with our variables. We know the rate equals 0.89. So we can just type rate equals 0.89. We have dollars. We can make dollars equal 100. And we had euros. So we want euros to equal dollars multiplied by the rate. Now if we want to see the answer, we can use print, and we can use euros inside the bracket to see it equals 89. If we make dollars equal 50, now if we just print euros, we'll still print the same 89 because we haven't changed it. So we need to repeat euros equal dollars times by rate, because the dollars value has changed. So now when we print euros, now the euros has changed, hopefully we'll get the correct answer. So let's try that. 44.5 is correct. Yes. Okay, I hope you enjoyed that introduction video. Coming soon will be the next video using Scratch controls. See you soon.